This is the Shopware Hub Cast, where your host Sander Mangel and Dennis Höting, resident Community Hub expert and Director of Product Development at Shopware, uncover the stories of the people that make our community. This episode, they talk to Nam Lay, software engineer at Shopware, on why he loves answering questions on Stack Overflow.
Nam, thank you so much for joining us today. You are one of the top contributor, if not the top contributor on Stack Overflow for the hashtag Shopware, the only hashtag that matters. How did that happen? How did you end up contributing so much on this platform?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me. It's cool to be here. So actually, if I remember, I first started using the Stack Overflow just to find for my our problem, But then I got more experience. I think I remember 2 years when I have a new register my account. So I got more experience and patience. So I thought maybe I can help others too, not only about my problem. So I start trying to answer the question I knew about. It made me feel surprisingly into fun. So first, I really want to help other developers and share what I know. It feels good when I answer how someone to fix their problem.
I love that. So I think that is something that a lot of people recognize, right? You get to Stack Overflow because you Google something and it pops up. You have your answer. You're like, okay, great. Let me ask a question. You get another answer. And then slowly, it's like a drug, right? You get into this question and answer game. You start to help some people. It makes you feel great. Yeah, I recognize that completely. And I love that you embrace it so much that for over 2 years now, you've been answering those questions and just feeling glad that you can share some of that vast knowledge that you have on Shopware. I really love that. And can you tell me a little bit about the gamification on Stack Overflow? Does that something for you, the badges and that kind of stuff, the points?
Yeah, I just like you mentioned, the second reason I love it there because the rewards on the Stack Overflow, like the badges and bonds, and just being recognized by the community, it gives me a bit of attraction motivation. So I think because I am just like a fan of the gaming, so when I play something I really love, when I can reach the level, so that and so I think it's the best in the most important thing here is it made me feel recognized. And I can play just like a game, not a workshop.
That's amazing. Yeah, I recognize that. I do some Duolingo. I don't know if you know it, to learn other languages. And again, the moment you get those badges and you're like, yes. A friend of mine once said that if Stack Overflow points were a real currency, he would be a rich man. But sadly, his bank doesn't allow it for mortgage. But it's addicting, right? And I think it helps. I think that's also something we're trying to incorporate with the community hub, to have that gamification, to have that thrill of extra points.
Yeah, and one more thing I think I want to share is about when I Shopware the community. We have a Shopware community hub and had this leaderboard, and which give you a bit more of the ground to aim for. So that means you can imagine in just for one question, I just answer the one question, I could get the point for 2 plays at the same time. So I think it's really cool for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right? So on the community hub, you can see how much effort people are putting into this stuff, and you're ranking high because of it. And I remember earlier we're speaking, you said, it made me feel recognized, and I think that is something important, right, in community, that people that put in so much time and effort, so much passion, they should be recognized, right? They should be encouraged to contribute.
Maybe I can maybe add to that. Like right now, Stack Overflow is integrated into the community hub. So as soon as you connected your Stack Overflow to the community hub, then you're getting points in community hub as well. And the questions you're asking or the answers you're giving on a Stack Overflow will also be put into our feed, and you gain some more visibility here. So that's cool. And of course, the gamification aspect of getting points, getting badges, stuff like that. And we are having some plans of enhancing those, Stack Overflow visibility in Community Hub much more. So, for example, on your profile, I believe it makes sense that, the questions you answered and, also the numbers, how many questions you answered and how frequently you are active on Stack Overflow. That's something that should be on your public Community Hub profile as well. And also we are thinking about a module explicitly for Stack Overflow, really highlighting, let me say, Stack Overflow work or Stack Overflow answering as a community challenge. So just putting a module where you see, those are the open questions right now. You can get that and you can get this recognition and those XPs for answering those questions. So go ahead, be the first one to answer that. And we as a community, have a collective, will to be active on Stack Overflow. So we are thinking about some community challenges regarding Stack Overflow here. There's a lot that I think we could activate here. And also enhance a holistic view on activity in the community, Stack Overflow being one portion of it, right?
That makes a lot of sense. And Dennis, what you said there, I love that we're not just rewarding the fact that you answer on Stack Overflow, but just being active, reviewing questions, maybe asking your own questions, right? I think it's so important that people feel free to ask their questions to make them high quality, right? Not just, why doesn't this work? No, I tried this, I tried that. This is my case. This is the version of Shopware I'm working on, right? Asking questions is hard work. You have to make sure that it's clear to anyone that wants to respond what you are asking. And I think rewarding that is very important.
Yeah, you're really putting, just by asking a question on Stack Overflow and, voicing this uncertainty or unclarity, you're really opening up, or you're creating the basis for a important pillar of learning in the Shopware universe. On the one hand, there's the learning pathways and there's blog articles and all that kind of stuff. Yes, but this, I would say ad hoc learning, situational learning of having a real challenge and having a real solution for that challenge. I think that's a really important pillar in learning on a technical basis here.
Cool. All right. Now, getting back to Stack Overflow. Why Stack Overflow versus other platforms, for example, Slack or Discord? What makes Stack Overflow such a good place to answer questions?
Yeah. So Slack and the Discord, I think they are so awesome and for getting a quick help, especially the Slack where the software community asks a lot of questions, But I like Stack Overflow more because the answer are very public and they stick around. I mean, it stick here forever or something like that. What I share on the Stack Overflow is there for good, and it is so easy to find through the Google search. When you want to search something on, you just search on the Google first. So, and even I go back into my our answer. Sometimes I can refresh my memory. So it's really hard for me to do on the Slack. If I search something and if you want to search something on Slack, you need to a premium account or something like that. So with the Slack, the conversation moves so fast, and it's hard to find stuff later. That's the reason why I like Stack Overflow more.
Yeah, you have such a good point, right? Because I think after X number of messages, it disappears from Slack. Unfortunately, we don't have a paid account. I guess Shopware doesn't want to fork over a couple of 100,000 per month to Slack, which fair enough, but yeah, it gets lost. And what you say, I recognize, right? It's hard to find stuff. Stack Overflow way easier, not just because their search is pretty powerful, but the fact that Google is indexing it, and ultimately the chatbots or the ChatGPTs are now indexing it, right? That's, I think, also a very important thing, that anything that you answer on Stack Overflow will come back in ChatGPT, Gemini, what have you. So I think it's this whole circle of answering and then feeding it back into LLMs to reuse it ourselves. So fun thing you said that you can also go back, you can rework some of your answers that you've done. I've had it myself where I would answer a question and years later I would Google for something and I would find my own question. I've had that happening. You're right. Stack Overflow is such a permanent record. It's much more powerful than a Slack or a Discord, which is meant for
But nowadays, I'm feeling the developer community, they refer the question on Slack more than Stack Overflow. My opinion, because when you ask on the Slack, you will get really, really quickly answer from the community. But
True.
when you ask on the Stack Overflow, you need to waiting because we don't have too much developer support on the Stack Overflow. So that's why they still refer the question on Slack more than the Stack Overflow.
Let me just put on my old man hat and say, kids these days, they do not have any patience. That's the problem. They want to answer now, fast. Back in the day, we had to, what was it, the bullet point forms. We had to wait for days. But yeah, it's I think a discipline that we also need from ourselves, right? To maybe even you can post it on Slack, but also post it on Stack Overflow. And if you get an answer, also ask someone to answer there. Because on Slack, at the end of the day, you don't get the fake internet points, right? It's all about the points. So yeah, we should encourage people to answer there.
I think it's really about finding a balance that is a win for the overall system. Like, I think it makes sense to really dig into a Stack Overflow, as you just pointed out, Nam. It's much more sustainable, if you will. But I think it would also make sense that we also utilize Community Hub to push for Stack Overflow and maybe enhance the speed here a little bit, because I can understand that. I remember in one of our earlier sessions, Sander, we, basically identified again, like as a dev, you want to get shit done, right? And you want to be fast and you want an answer right now. And I understand that. And I think we can do our best to really push for that and enhance the speed here as well, while maintaining that sustainability and those advantages of building up a sustainable knowledge base here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very important. I think ultimately that's how we help most people, which it's all about. Nam, as a expert answer giver, it's now a function. It's a title. You could put it on LinkedIn. As a professional answer giver, how do you go about giving the answer? How do you prepare your answer? How do you find the questions that you might want to answer? Right? I can imagine not all of them get your attention. So can you walk us through your process?
It's really interesting the question. So I think I have 3 points. The first point, a lot of my answer come from things that I already to deal with at work. So if someone asks the question I think before, I can usually share the solution. So and the second one, if the question is when I don't know the answer the right way, how can I deal with that? So I'm not just with or skip the question, but I continue with that. So I start to digging around for information. First, I will check our internal Slack channel, and then I look into the official software document. With it's some okay. They don't. I mean, they don't want to search something and another way. So I log into the chain log, and of course I use the Google search as well. And the last thing, so if one of them cannot help, I will use in the AI, So I basically for the software related stuff, sometimes for really the tricky question, I even use the Gemini deep research. If you can use in the deep research for analyze this software document, and they which help me to be more detailed and reliable answer. So I have experience on that. So I can say it helps us at least the 70% accurate the answer. But the important thing is I always to double check everything myself before I bought it to make sure it's correct. It's okay, like I always do if I can run by myself. And it works. I will bought it's correct. So and the last one, all the time I working on a software project and answer the question. I keep track of the situation and the solution I found in my personal system, and it help me remember things. And in the future, I just search on the in my checklist. So I think it's 3 points I can share for you.
That's amazing. I love how you have your own system and how much effort you put into answering, right? Yeah, it makes sense. A lot of stuff you'll already have seen, right? You'll read the question, you'll be like, oh, okay, I think I know this, or at least I know this for 80%. I recognize that maybe in the internal Slack channel, I might have heard something, or there's a lot of communications going on behind the scenes at Shopware on things that customers are experiencing. You can ask colleagues, so that's a great resource. And then what I also like is that you not just use ChatGPT, but that you also use the Gemini Deep Research. And honestly, I've never done that. I've seen the option. I always figured it was used by an astrophysicist that want to research something very extensive. But I love the fact that you can also do that with Shopware stuff. So I need to try that out, the deep research of Gemini. That's really cool. And the notebook system that you have, your internal system, that one I absolutely love. Just keeping track of cases that you run into. That is absolutely amazing. At some point, I want to see how you categorize that, how you research that. I think this should be a blog post, because this is great, right? This is we are so reliant on search engines, chatbots more, and I think it's great to have your own system as well, right? Because that is not depending on the fact that someone pulls something offline or it gets less attention from a search bot. I think it's a powerful system to have your own archive. I can envision myself now, you going into a back room, big archive closet, you digging through for the answer. I love that. It's amazing you systematize it so much, and I think it speaks to your character as a developer as well, right? A very systematic approach to solving issues, looking at it from different angles. So that's amazing. So maybe to open this up a little bit for the audience that is listening. If someone is inspired and thinks, I want some of those Stack Overflow points, or I want to rank higher than Num on the leaderboard. I mean, good luck with that, but maybe they want to. How should they get started? Where do they get started, right? Because it's quite daunting when you open Stack Overflow. There's a lot of questions flying around. What are your recommendations?
Actually, I don't have too much advice for them, but from my opinion, just my opinion, my advice is usually just start with the question in the area the best. If you see the question is really hard or take a lot of your time, you can skip and you next move into another question. So for example, like if you are good with the upgrading the software or working with the plugin, just focus on those kind of the question. I usually narrow down the question to area like upgrade, migration, plugin or app or APIs. So the last one, I think, don't worry if you don't know everything, right? So even I don't know everything about the software perfectly, to be honest, even though I work in the 5 years for the software, but don't worry, just research and learning is a big part of the process, right? So, and nowadays with the AI technology, and we have it now, it's not too hard to find a solution, and just always make sure to double check everything before we can share it. So, and we have a software community hub, so why not, right? So it's really interesting and cool. So you don't need to be a perfect. We have a community value participation.
I love that. We have a community hub, so why not? Yeah, good point, right? Find the questions that you already know a little bit about and then start answering those. In my experience, also look at questions that already have answers, but maybe are not accepted, right? So maybe you know a better answer than people that already have answered. I think it's definitely worth re-answering questions. But yeah, absolutely. And I mean, of course, nobody knows everything about every system, but I think just the fact that you bring, for example, 5 years of knowledge, right? It's for you a little bit easier to already get a feeling for what a possible what an answer might be. That makes a lot of sense. I appreciate so much that you wanted to share all your insights on Stack Overflow and your personal journey. I love how you went from let me find an answer to my problem to let me just answer all of the Shopware questions out there. I think that is quite a transition that you made. I love that you shared your system with us. I think it's quite inspirational for a lot of developers, I think, that love to approach problems, to systematize it, to keep track of their own questions. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. We really appreciate it, and was an honor to have you here on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone. I'm really happy my experience can help other.
Thank you so
much.